Captain's log, start date 08/17/2017. We've journeyed back to planet Earth, where the native peoples have seemingly become obsessed with the energy field surrounding the planet. Our away team's mission is to persuade these peoples to return to Earth, the obnoxiously large 12 zodiac space stations, which have become a safety concern for nearby space travel. The card out. Libra, All My Relationships, Part 1 with Bradley Naragon. Brought to you courtesy of EA Zoom meetings. Libra, the sign of relationships, has a unique relationship with the other 11 signs in the zodiac. Of course, this is true for any one sign. Today we're using Libra as an entry point into the zodiac. Understanding each of these relationships has a threefold purpose. First, and somewhat obvious, we grow in our understanding of the relationship between Libra and the other signs, as they exist in the natural zodiac. Secondly, this helps with understanding two planets' relationship from different houses and/or signs, i.e. a planet in the 7th and a planet in the 11th, or a planet in Libra in aspect to a planet in Taurus. Thirdly, very different than these first two, understanding the sign relationships is a jump-off point to dive into deciphering archetypal fusion. Archetypal fusion is what I call it when two or more archetypes present as one. This could be a sign on a house cusp, coloring the house experience with the sign, planets in a house, or planets in conjunction. Today we're focusing on the relationship between Libra and the other signs in the zodiac. Part 2 will focus on combining or fusing Libra, the 7th house, and Venus with the archetypes. In evolutionary astrology, we talk about Libra as a sign of extremes. Folks with Pluto in Libra, Pluto in the 7th house, South Node in Libra, or South Node in the 7th house, they can all relate to the gifts and challenges that come with Libra. Additionally, anyone with key planets in the 7th house or Libra can relate to some aspect within themselves that has experienced extremes in relationship. It's universal. Interestingly, those born between August 9th and September 2nd have both the south nodes of Venus and Mars in Libra. Those born from September 2nd to September 21st have south nodes of Mercury, Venus, and Mars in Libra. Deduction. Virgo Sun folks come from a Libra place, whether or not they have planets in Libra's 7th house. We will revisit this phenomena a bit in part 2, as we have a situation where collectively the meaning of the Virgo Sun is, unbeknownst to most, mixed with Libra archetypal themes. Pluto in Libra 7th house shows up as a deep soul desire to give, to receive, and to be in relationship, the need to be needed. If you know folks in the Pluto generation, 1972 to 84, I'm sure you've noticed how many of these people have struggled to find themselves outside of relationship. One relationship ends, and the next one begins. Enter one of the core tenets of evolutionary astrology. Everything evolves through polarity. With Pluto, the evolutionary path for the soul is the Pluto polarity point, barring a couple exceptions to the rule. Pluto in the 7th or Libra evolves through inclusion of the opposite, 1st house, Aries. Discovering who one is and what one needs outside of relationship. Overinvestment in relationship is the classic way a Libra emphasized person loses sight of what they actually need. In typical extreme Libra fashion, by the time one discovers they're out of balance, they've co-created extremes within their relationships. Often codependent type of relationships have formed whether one finds oneself on the side of needing the other person needing them, or any combination in between. Libra, loving to be needed, gets hooked into overgiving. In evolutionary astrology, we talk about supreme giving, which is learning when to give and when not to give. For those who are compulsively overgiving to partners, family members, to others, there is eventually a realization that A, their own life is out of balance, and B, their giving is actually not helping, it's enabling. Because what is being given momentarily satiates the need to be needed, it can cloud the realization that one is feeding their own need to give, subsequently enabling codependent relationship patterns while simultaneously cutting themselves short of their own freedom and needs. Aries, in relation to Libra, is the call to have the courage to be oneself and get one's needs met within relationship. Libra loves to keep peace and harmony. As we know, Libra keeping the peace can be a fake sense of peace and harmony. This superficial peace is oft manifested whilst the undercurrents of unexpressed emotion make the moment quite awkward. However, the Libra person may not want to call this out, avoiding disruption. Enter the Aries polarity, which is necessary to integrate into Libra. With an integrated polarity, Libra creates and maintains real peace and is able to have the courage to bring forward the disruptive content as needed. Ultimately, this creates a deeper peace versus the superficial peace. Scorpio, following Libra, is a no bullshit kind of sign, naturally more real and upfront than Libra because it is here we dive deeper. Side note, most Libra Sun folks have the south nodes of Venus and Mars in Scorpio. The Libra Sun expression is fused with the archetypes of the personal planets Venus and Mars in Scorpio. Again, we're going to be getting into that in part 2. Scorpio will go deep, where Libra will hang out on the surface. In sequence in the natural zodiac, it's the plunge to go beyond casual relationships. It's the merging after the honeymoon is over. It's where shit gets real. As we proceed into the next stage of relationship in Scorpio, we begin to get to know someone in a much more deep way. Beyond mental, superficial realm of the mask we wear socially. Scorpio is in part about developing social discriminating facilities. Scorpio asks us to learn some form of discrimination as to which type of relationships we delve deeper into. Because when we merge at the Scorpio level, the relationship will change us in a much more profound way. Moving along, from Libra to Sagittarius, we have a natural sextile, from air to fire. Entering Libra is a pivotal point in the journey through the zodiac. At this moment of emerging into the social realms, therein lies an opportunity to learn. Sagittarius loves to learn and expand the realm of experience. And what better fuel for this than the diverse realm of experiences we encounter within relationships and connections, old and new. If we simply follow the natural zodiac forward, starting at Libra, we have the initial social contact. Then at Scorpio, we do or we don't go deeper. Evolving through relationship, we emerge with an expanded perspective of life. This is the next chapter, Sagittarius. Interestingly enough, if we skip the Scorpio step and go right on to Sagittarius, we may find that we don't have real learning. We can mentally know the air and fire of Libra and Sag, but we don't really experientially know it. We don't know it in our bones, so to speak. From an outward point of view, in the world of appearances, it's fairly easy to appear to know, right? All you need is some Aries confidence, some Leo full of yourself, and Sag optimism. People are drawn to fire. A teacher may appear to have valuable knowledge, say all the right things, but if the teacher didn't do the Scorpio step, they lack real knowing. It may all sound good, it may inspire others, and maybe they even make a fortune, but are they the real deal? Scorpio demands proof beyond the words and the story being shared. Scorpio needs the direct experience. We don't evolve by someone telling us a bunch of amazing tales. It's our efforts and direct experiences, our successes and failures, discoveries, which are our teachers. Having said all that, this inner relationship of Sag and Libra speaks to the truth that we have an opportunity to learn within all relationships, whether we journey inward or outward. You can expand the notion of this to go beyond human to animal relations, and beyond this. Really, any and all things we can theoretically call a relationship offer us the potential to grow and learn in our understanding of life. Whether we're watching interrelationships in the natural world, studying societies and cultures, traveling, or simply revisiting our own family relationship dynamics, we have much to learn if we open up to the teachers all around us. From the window of our soul, the mirror of all that is reflects back truth to us. We're surrounded by millions of relationships. Do we see it? Do we hear it? Relationship provides opportunities to learn. That is the Libra sextile Sagittarius. Capricorn, definition of observable reality. Capricorn naturally squares Libra, sign of relationships, cooperation, sharing, listening, and equality. Their natural square speaks to inherent tension between conditions of reality and relationships. Take any of these two archetypes' dynamics and find the natural tension within. For example, how many of us today feel the limits of available time, Capricorn, lead to moments where we do not truly slow down to listen to others, Libra? How does it feel to us that we're not fully present and listening? How many are familiar with our responsibilities, roles, positions, and/or work, resulting in tension in relationships? This is connected to the Libra-Capricorn square. From Libra, we naturally witness, compare, and contrast ourselves to others. Via the square from Libra to Capricorn, we then measure, judge, and come to conclusions about the differences between ourselves and others. The Libra-Capricorn square represents how the social realm stays within socially defined constructs, aka social norms. Society's conditions shape and define what is so-called normal, within relationship. Conditioned ways of relating limit the scope of social experience for most of us. We gravitate toward familiar ways of interacting because they provide us with the most emotional security. Naturally, we encounter tension when emotional insecurities arise within the social sphere, Libra square Cancer. For example, dogs meet each other's butts. We likely wouldn't do this, even if we wanted to, because of how uncomfortable it would be, especially because that's not normal, Libra square Capricorn. It's a silly example, but it makes a point. The combination of safety and comfortability, Cancer, and expected behavior, Capricorn, constantly intersect the social experience, Libra. How do social conditions relate back to who someone is, what they look like, and what the socially accepted ways are? Does one feel nurtured and supported in entering into the social experience? To me, society is primarily a blend of Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn. Sociologists are well aware that one of the most significant shaping influences in a culture and society is the support, Cancer, the whole provides for each individual, Social Security. Is the support fair and equal, Libra? It goes both ways. Pre-existing conditions determine security within society, and vice versa. The level of Social Security results in societal conditions. We can observe through time the full spectrum of possible ways this could and did manifest. Sometimes with Libra extremes, and sometimes with Libra's harmony and peace. Most often, it's a mixed bag. Cancer preceding Libra ideally paves the way for positive social experience, where one enters the social realm with a sense of emotional security and a healthy ego and identity. The unresolved emotional issues of childhood commonly manifest as we find ourselves swimming in insecurities within the social realm. Granted, how one deals with this experience can be vastly different, person to person, moment to moment. One day, the most level-headed person may lose their shit. One day, the seemingly most immature person may display unprecedented emotional wisdom. Bring this back to the simple truth that we all have something to learn from each other. Behold a ray of truth, Libra sextile Sag, light and sunshine Leo, sextile Libra, which may break through the heavy atmosphere of emotional armor we surround ourselves with in order to feel secure in the world, Libra square Cancer. One of the things I love about evolutionary astrology is that it emphasizes the notion that strength is being secure within emotional vulnerability. If we can do this, we don't have to be defensive. This is the healthy resolve of the natural tension we face when we're entering into the social experience, Libra square Cancer. You know what disgusts me about capitalism? Recently, I was looking for a new home and I noticed how intensely competitive housing is, competing to live. Of course, this reminds me how we compete with each other for jobs and resources. Looking around and seeing cutthroat business tactics, the gain at the expense of others. Looking around and seeing people needing to declare they're the best, better than all the rest, number one, etc. It's disgusting. Do I really want to go around with a slogan that I'm the best astrologer on the West Coast? That's stupid. You don't see it as much in the enterprise of counseling, astrology, and the likes. We all have a gift, we have a unique offering. Vibrational resonance. People will be attracted to that which resonates with where they are at that moment, what they need to hear and experience. I don't need you to tell me that you are better. I just want to know I can trust you to provide quality and a genuine service or product. Capitalism doesn't care about you and me. It cares about profit and growth, being the bigger fish in the pond. It's a disease. Our culture is in dis-ease, painfully more aware every day. So yeah, Capricorn does associate with capitalism because it's a socioeconomic system that defines economy and shapes the conditions that define and limit the realm of human experience. So yeah, I think Capricorn gets a bad rap because of these associations, but let's remember that these are not Capricorn. For the cultures and individuals living within harmony within the natural world, in harmony with natural cycles, for cultures and people which provide real social security, Capricorn correlates to defining structures, conditions, and qualities. And those conditions shape environment and social experiences in totally different ways than the example of modern capitalism. Environment, the combination of Cancer and Capricorn, always intersect with social experience Libra. Are the limits to the structure nurturing and supportive, fostering greater social security and cooperation? Or are they oppressive and uncomfortable, leading to greater sense of separation, isolation, and inequality? It's just a question to ask, perhaps something we naturally wonder when we enter into any environment. We immediately are surveying and taking in all this with our senses via Gemini and through the emotional body, Cancer, via Scorpio, osmosis of the environment around us, because we are not separate from it. We are in it, yes, but also not of it. Ultimately, it's Pisces talk. Digress. Before we continue to delve into the oceans of Pisces, let's visit with Aquarius and the air trine. Aquarius, a social sign, along with Libra and Gemini, complete the air sign triangle. From Gemini, the journey of awareness begins within the individual consciousness, where mind and thought breeds self-awareness. Libra, as part of the air sign trine, speaks to learning equanimity of mind. At the Aquarius level, we have awareness of all the soul's experiences, the higher mind, the entire blueprint of the soul's journey. Walking through the air trine, focusing on the social realm, Gemini is our social lubricant, getting the conversation going because we're curious. In Libra, we learn to relate and listen, to share. At Aquarius, we go from the notion of relationships to groups of people, community, the clan, and or the tribe. Birds of a feather flock together. Via vibrational resonance, we're drawn to like-minded individuals. Libra, by comparing and contrasting, we experience natural diversity. We're all different, and at the same time, we all share something. Preceding the entry point to Aquarius, we had our initial social contact in Libra, formative experiences for better or worse in Scorpio, and the growing understanding of what we believe in Sag. Keeping in mind this final fire sign, Sagittarius, stems, as all does, from the beginning at Aries. Sag, in particular, relates back to the origin of the whole cycle the process of self-discovery. In Sagittarius, this discovery process is the discovery of what we believe, leading into how we shape and define our own reality at Capricorn. This reality of ours, individual and shared, by definition, has a vibrational frequency which directly links to the networks and friends we connect with and identify with, Aquarius. From Libra, where we love to be in relationship, where we have a need to be needed, belonging to a group brings a sense of fulfillment at a larger societal level. From Libra to Aquarius, we have a natural first quarter trine. Belonging to community and or a group fills us up with a sense of social connectedness. At the group level, Libra's sharing and cooperation can be expressed and actualized in new ways. First quarter trine, Libra to Aquarius. About Aquarius, Jeffrey Wolf Green would often say, "Who can stand as a group of one?" Via Libra, the need to be needed and connect, having others who are on the same frequency as you, picking up what you're putting down, it feels good. But sometimes this is not the case. Stand as a group of one relates back to Aquarius's inconjunct Cancer. We have an ego, we have a self-identity, we have insecurities. Our friends and relationships are not always in alignment with this. How secure are we to stand alone in these situations? Also keep in mind, Aquarius squares Taurus, and Taurus naturally is an inconjunct back to Libra. What are our core values? Taurus. What are our core needs? Taurus. What do we do when these are different than those who are closest to us? From Libra, it's easy to mirror back others' needs and point of view, but this is not being true to ourselves. To be ourselves within the social realm has inherent challenges. In the natural zodiac, these are expressed by the inconjunct from Taurus to Libra, square from Libra to Cancer, and the inconjunct from Aquarius to Cancer. How far will we go to feel secure in a world which challenges our inherent nature, values, and needs? How much effort will we make to stick our neck out and take risks? Trauma, Aquarius, can result from the crisis of such actions. The inconjunct between Aquarius and Cancer correlates to the emotional crisis of the trauma. The square from Aquarius to Taurus correlates to tension within the physical body resulting from trauma. Sticking one's neck out also relates back to Aries and polarity to Libra, the evolutionary path in the face of this social crisis. The courage to move forward in a way that aligns with our true nature. From Libra to Pisces, we've traveled 150 degrees, the gibbous inconjunct. The gibbous inconjunct is known for a crisis which results in self-analysis. Within the Libra-Pisces inconjunct, we find ourselves analyzing and reconsidering relationship dynamics because of the disillusion of our dreams and ideals. Eventually, we see the ultimate truth clearly, as well as our own blind spots and illusions. At the water sign Scorpio, we learned relationships can get tense, intense, and things can rear their ugly head from the depths of the unconscious ego. When Pisces is in relationship to Libra, we may be confused due to displaced aspects of another or ourself. What aspect of self or other are we in denial of? How does this then come through into relationship? In evolutionary astrology, when we get into relationship dynamics, we certainly look at Venus and Mars. rulers of Libra and Aries. We also use the yod between Libra, Pisces, and Taurus. Taurus and Libra are Venus ruled, and Pisces, ruled by Neptune, is the higher octave of Venus. I know most evolutionary astrologers and students therein are familiar, or maybe familiar, with this teaching, but for the sake of someone new to evolutionary astrology, here's a brief version of how this works. This yod represents the ongoing process of adjusting and improving relationships in our lives. These inconjuncts manifest as opportunities which come through crisis. In Taurus, we have the inner side of Venus, our relationship to ourself, our core values and needs. If we enter into relationship Libra to fulfill our self needs Taurus, we're setting ourselves up for a crisis. That's the inconjunct from Taurus to Libra. Someone else cannot give us inner fulfillment. From within ourselves, Taurus, we access Pisces' spirit source. And only through this path do we truly have inner happiness and fulfillment. Our relationship with ourselves is crucial. Modern Western society has glamorized the external relationship, Libra, as the ultimate fulfillment. If we learn to love ourselves, Taurus, we can establish a balanced and harmonious relationship. If we're lacking inner fulfillment, we don't love or value ourselves and seek this from another, we set the stage for crisis. Pisces correlates to spirit, but it also represents what holds ultimate meaning for us. This is key to understanding Pisces' role in relation to Libra and this yod. Relative to Libra, what this means is we unconsciously project into relationships our ideals, Pisces, 12th house. For example, if someone has planets in Gemini in the 12th house, they idealize communication as part of a relationship, hoping that their partner will sincerely be curious about them. They may unconsciously expect that their partner will inquire, investigate, explore ideas within their relationship. When their partner stops talking about things and or loses interest and curiosity in the relationship, one has the disillusionment crisis in the relationship, which this Pisces 12th house in conjunct Libra 7th house correlates to. We all have an ideal hope of what relationship will be, Pisces 12th house Neptune, and we have our own needs we can only fulfill via ourself, Taurus 2nd house, the inner side of Venus. Understanding this yod will help so much with unraveling relationship dynamics. Well, people often say that in relationships, communication is the first thing to go. And here we have Gemini trine in Libra. Easy come, easy go. We communicate constantly via our body language. We respond to our environment. We see, smell, hear, feel, and sense. Recently, in a Mercury Hermes lecture by Jason Hawley, which I loved, I recall Jason talking about how Hermes is impartial to taking sides, often coming into play simply keep the story going. When the story of our life is looping, Hermes or Mercury shows up to move things along. When I say Hermes, I'm talking about Gemini, Mercury, 3rd house archetype. In relationships, we often get stuck, as seen by repeating patterns, conversations, arguments, and routines. Thankfully, God made mutable Gemini, which doesn't live inside any box. It's in all the boxes. Like the air, it travels freely. This archetype is in all experiences. All experiences are touched through the archetypal faculties of Gemini. Gemini is perhaps the hardest archetype, in my opinion, to speak of separately because it is woven into all perceptions of and all activity within the phenomenal reality. Relative to Gemini's sextile to Aries, we have an opportunity, sextile, to speak our own opinion, and via the trine back to Libra, to share what's on our mind and in our heart. When Libra gets stuck in niceties, in mirroring back and keeping the peace, it's fairly easy, the Gemini Libra trine, to change the conversation at the expense of authenticity, avoiding one's own needs, one's own anger, and or one's own desires, Aries. When we do not take advantage of this opportunity, sextile from Aries to Gemini, to integrate our needs and opinions in the relationship via that Gemini trine to Libra, then things go subterranean via Scorpio, a higher octave of Aries. What lies hidden from relationship will eventually come up, especially if we're getting in the way of our own story and life progressing. Via Gemini Hermes, sometimes this is called the Freudian slip. That is to say, Hermes swings by and suddenly pops up, or something pops out of our mouth that we didn't plan to say, or some piece of information or clue is discovered by us or another that reveals deeper aspects being withheld from a relationship. Now this red line just showed up on my screen as I said this, and I have no idea where that came from or how that got there. Maybe it'll disappear. For Hermes, it's quite easy to slip some different element into the scene, causing a domino effect, changing the course of events. If we're being honest with ourselves in relationship, then the trickster is not required to slide some element into circumstances to reveal hidden truth. When we start with Libra, we start the journey through the cycle by entering the social sphere. We spend the first half of this cycle journeying into the larger realm of the interrelationships. At Pisces, the completion of the first half of that cycle, we potentially find the unity within all of these interrelationships. And at Aries, kicking off that return flight, we realize that relationships evolve through the mirror, awakening us to our journey of self-realization. In Taurus, we learn that a thriving relationship with ourselves is the path to balanced relationships with others. From Libra, Gemini is a disseminating trine. We all have a message to share with the world, a message we discover from within that helps evolve the whole. From Libra to Cancer, it's the last quarter square. As we journey back to re-entering relationship, we reach this crisis in belief. Who are we now? In Cancer, the crisis in consciousness relative to Libra is about learning our identity and how this too evolves. It's about being secure with, what am I becoming? How do we navigate this and integrate this into our relationships? From Libra to Leo, the energy of the last quarter sextile, balsamic semi-square, are present. From Libra's vantage point, fulfillment of one's creative purpose is what expands us back into the unity of creation. How do we find fulfillment of our purpose on the individual journey? Offering of our gifts is a theme here. Fine-tuning this creative offering in Virgo, we realize we can enter into unconditional love when we earnestly are using our creative potential and service. From Libra's point of view, helping each other is a stepping stone to dissolving all that keeps us encamped and walled off. It opens the door to the unity within diversity. There are challenges with this relationship, as with any. One way to understand this is imagining a slower planet in the 7th house in relation to a balsamic returning planet in the 6th. What would this represent? And I wanted to open that point off to some discussion and questions as I throw that question back to the group of what would that be? Because in that slide, I captured kind of this ideal of what it could be, but as we all know, anyone who has a planet in the 7th house in relation to a slower planet in the 6th house, there's a lot of dynamics there. So with that, if anyone wants to give a piece to that, opening it up.
Okay, Bradley, fantastic. Let's go back to the attendee panel. I stop share at the top of the screen.
Okay. Oops, I almost got it.
So it's the red section at the top. Just stop share. That's it. Okay, great. So we're back. So your question was about the 6th house and 7th house relationship. Would anyone like to make a comment on that?
I got some clarification. It was something in my mind because I'm a bit confused. So would the slower planet, if it's balsamic, right? Would the slower planet be in the 7th house or the 6th house?
Oh, wait, well, in this case, if the slower planet's in the 7th, then the one in the 6th would be
the faster moving.
Oh, did I reverse it?
Yeah, I think you did. That's why I was asking.
I did. I totally reversed it. I am sorry. Yes. Thank you.
Okay.
Right.
I have
yeah. It would be coming that way. Yes.
Yeah, because I have Saturn in the 7th, Saturn and Chiron in the 7th, and Venus in the 6th. So Venus will be balsamic to both of those. And it's kind of that, everything that you said, just, looking at the Venus archetype, Taurus, and, 2nd house, and the inconjunct from, since it's Venus in Aquarius, and the inconjunct, to Cancer, definitely that, overgiving, not valuing yourself, over-serving, all of that. It makes so much sense. And now I think in this life I am, even though it's taken me 51 years to get there, coming to that realization of that 7th house. And then, see, that also is the Pluto, my Pluto polarity point. So everything that you said just really just opened that up. And that balsamic, relationship, because it's definitely coming to a head. And it's like, it seems like every time I try to, do that overgiving and do that, bad side of the Libra thing, the crisis comes up. 6th house.
Thanks for sharing that, Wanda. That's basically the point that I wanted to make with it, is that when it's in balsamic like that, it's going to have that Pisces flavor to it and flair. So it can be unconditional love in the giving and service, but then there can also be all those other layers of self-sacrifice that is out of balance, or in denial of what's going on in our own needs, or it can get it can get tricky. Yeah. Did anyone have any comments or questions in general that you want to bring forward?
Well, I don't have that balsamic phase because my Chiron is in the 6th house Virgo, and my sun is conjunct my descendant in Libra in the 7th house. And I have a moon in Taurus, but it's at 28 degrees, so it's more of a trine than an, you know. And so, yeah, it's a 7th house sun has taught me a lot and brought me to very interesting points with my relationships and within my own self and the whole crisis. And yeah, it's a lot.
That's interesting, because even though the sun and the moon are almost trining by degree, and to me that because it's Libra and Taurus, you still have that in conjunct crisis dynamic.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's my Pluto polarity point. My Pluto is at 25 degrees Scorpio and my moon's 28 Taurus. So yeah, there's a lot going on. It's also conjunct my North Node, my Pluto is, so.
Oh, right. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the exception to the Pluto's conjunct the North Node, did you say?
Mm-hmm. 10-degree orb, but yeah.
So that's the exception to the rule of the polarity point, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I had another point to bring up that I forgot to mention. I've noticed too, when I do the overgiving thing and not valuing myself and letting other people, just kind of override my needs, a health crisis usually comes up. I mean, it might not be a big crisis, but I'm learning now to listen to that Libra listening. When something starts to go wrong in the body, it's a signal to me to say, hey, pull back. Yeah.
Thanks for saying that. Of course, like as soon as you say that, I think of Patricia Walsh, because she's always like, the body knows, the body knows. And I just had that happen the other day. I mean, when I kind of got sick and crashed, it was like I needed to not be what I was doing, where I was planning on going. And it just pulled. So I always enjoy when the body's wisdom and the kind of takes precedent over the mind and our compulsions to continue to do. Yeah. Well, I'm curious. I mean, it's not. Most of you are probably have studied evolutionary astrology for a while, and when I put this together, I did it also thinking about having it be something that can be very tangible, and that anyone who's really new to it could absorb, but also wanting it to be somewhat interesting for folks who have been studying for a while. So I hope that it was that. And yeah.
No, absolutely. I've been studying astrology for quite some time and was just drawn to EA not too long ago, but it just seems like a perfect fit, with just my own signature and my own, the way that I am. And so I really thought it was very digestible, very, very, very well, very, very well put together.
Good to hear. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
I have to second that. I will definitely be sharing this one in my group, because you really explained with the squares and the inconjuncts. As a Virgo rising, that is basically an inconjunct chart. So, we have Cancer on the 11th house, and the way you explained it to me, that really gave some insight to that Cancer 11th house. And the squares, from Libra to Capricorn, and like I said, just really was nice, and it really helped me because I have Saturn in the 7th, as I mentioned before, And I also have Mercury in Pisces. We have Pisces on the 7th house cusp. So that in conjunct that you explained, and Libra in the 2nd. So definitely, it was so digestible, you know. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Libra in the 2nd is always that interesting paradox, isn't it? Yeah. It's a
Bradley.
beautiful thing. Yeah. Are we?
Oh yeah. I just wanted to share about my yod. I have Saturn in Sag in the 2nd house. Yeah, I have South Node in Taurus in the 7th house. And Jupiter in Libra in the 12th house.
Oh yeah, you go. Wow.
Okay, so with my Saturn in Sag in the 2nd, I value honesty. And with my South Node Taurus in the 7th, I place value on relationships, certain relationships, and my own resources, and being self-sufficient within my own relationships. And also with the 12th house, Jupiter in Libra, the resources comes in with the spiritual resources. So just wanted to offer that little bit of feedback there.
Linda, can I ask you a question about?
Sure.
So when we talk about the 12th house as an ideal, then we unconsciously project that into relationship in the 7th house. Is that something that when you look back on your life, you realize that you had unconsciously expected other people to have that same level of sharing of knowledge and equality?
Yes, but let's simplify it. Let's bring it down just to the issue of money. If they didn't have the money, then in my relationship, if my partner couldn't supply the money, then I would then overwork to help. But it didn't really bother me that much. Then with the Jupiter in the 12th house, I had such a deep belief in the universe providing the ultimate resources that I was showered with resources. So it seemed to work. It wasn't such a crisis, but I think you get to the point where you've made the adjustments and it's all working quite well. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, it's interesting that you just simplified it down with resources and money, which is obviously like Taurus in the 7th, and finding a balance point with that.
Yeah, like I think with astrology, we try to take too much in. We try to describe too much. I think it's a great idea to really hone in on one example and then follow that through, and then it'll make more sense. Yeah.
Thanks. Totally agree.
Okay, anyone else? We have 1 minute left.
Thank you again, Bradley. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thanks everybody for being here.
Okay, everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you, Bradley. That was amazing. Thanks from all of us. See you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Bradley.
Just excellent.